Let's talk Sharife Cooper, a 6'1 guard out of Auburn. One of the more dynamic passing guards in this draft. Just a really, really fun player. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. With me, as always, the man, Sam Vecenie. Sam, let's talk Sharife Cooper.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the height because there was some confusion at the NBA Draft Combine because I think that I think someone input the wrong height and wingspan information, if I remember correctly, into his little bar, and that made an internet meltdown for a day that Sharife Cooper had grown to 6'3", but it seems more likely that he's in like the 6.5 to 6'1.5" range.
Yeah, it's also not on NBA.com anymore. They have taken off
they've
all the
it.
measurements.
Like,
yeah, it's gone.
Whoops.
Oops. Regardless, I think this is a really interesting prospect. He sees the floor in a way that most guards in this draft don't. He's an ambidextrous passer, and I think that's where we should just start, is how he can affect the game as a passer. What did you see from his year at Auburn?
Yeah, so he's a prospect where the strengths of his game are exceptional. He is an unreal passer. The problem is that the weaknesses are also exceptionally damning, let's say. But let's talk about the strengths. Like, let's be positive to start. I think like his combination of handle, creativity as a handler, counters for days as a handler, in terms of the way that he presents to defenders, quick twitch movement, keeps the ball low to the ground and can put that thing basically wherever he wants to put it on a string, right? Absolutely an unbelievable ball handler. And off of that, an unbelievable electrical passer. Throws them from any angle, can execute any pass on the court that you're looking for, just point blank. He is an unreal passer, left hand, right hand, cross corner kickouts, cross wing kickouts, wrap around dump offs, pocket passes, again, left or right hand, it doesn't matter. He can absolutely execute all of them in a way that is uncommon for even NBA guards, if we're being real about it. So that's the skill set here at the end of the day. Just an unbelievable creator and passer. Yeah,
and he had a really interesting, another prospect that's in this draft, JT Thor, who he played with, who he could throw some pretty unique passes to, which was just fun. It was just a really fun Auburn team and a fun watch. Let's talk some of those deficiencies that you mentioned. What's going to hold him back as an NBA pro?
I don't buy the jumper, and I think he's one of the worst defenders I've seen for a real draft prospect in my life. The shooting is hit or miss depending on who you talk to. There are people who buy into it. I personally don't love the way the ball comes out of his hand. I think it comes out like with a little bit of offhand interaction. And then on top of it, when he played this year at Auburn, he kind of had developed this like lean backward on the shot. And it felt like that lean backward was almost an adjustment to playing against bigger players, right? And playing against dudes that can just contest his shot in a way that he has never experienced before. And that's only going to go to a greater degree at the NBA level. So I'm pretty worried about the jumper. If the jumper translates, he's going to be an unbelievable player, like an unbelievable offensive player at the very least. Defensively, I mean, like, we're talking like, I thought he was worse than Trae Young was at Oklahoma.
Wow.
Yeah, he's, I mean, like, you live in Oklahoma. I'm sure that you saw what Trae was like there. Like, it was,
definitely.
It was not great. Like, Sharife, I think, just had no chance at the point of attack. It was not an attentive off-ball defender by any stretch of the imagination. Like, sure, he went and, like, grabbed some steals here and there and, like, shot passing lanes, but he's going to have to drastically improve his attention to detail defensively. And that's those two reasons, the jumper and the defense, I think, are why teams are so polarized on him. Like, I think that the range is very, very wide with Sharife Cooper.
Yeah. I think the passing stuff could be enough for a team to take a swing on him.
Yep.
But yeah, my guess is that he's late teens, early 20s. Where do we see fit? Because I think we can actually have a pretty good discussion on where he's going to fall and what teams make sense for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, right? So, like, in the case of Cooper, like, the other thing, too, that we should mention, like, elite at drawing fouls and elite at getting to the basket and putting pressure on the rim, even beyond just, like, to do it as a passer, right? So, like, there's a reason he dropped 20 points a game. It's because nobody knew how to defend him and to stop him from getting to the foul line. So,
yeah, eight free throws a game at 82%. So, does the free throws... A lot of people like to use free throw percentage as a way to talk about how their three-point percentage could get better. Is that encouraging to you? Are you still not buy it?
I mean, look, like maybe like 10% encouraging to me. Like he does have touch. Like there are finishes around the basket where he clearly showcases like real touch, and like he has a burgeoning floater game. Like he likes to take them at least. He's not awesome at them yet, but like there is a real world where the shooting gets better. The problem is that when you take free throws, nobody's contesting your shot. And I think that's more the problem for Sharife because he's so small. It's just easier for guys to contest his shot and thus bring the percentages down. So yes, I like the fact that the free throw percentage has always been high, but I worry about how translatable that is in this specific circumstance.
Yeah. I struggle to see where his range begins because maybe you start at like 14 or 15 and you're like, I don't really see the Warriors taking him, and then I think the Wizards want to take a wing. The Thunder have guards that they're developing currently, and I don't know where he fits there at 16 or 18. Same with the Grizzlies. Maybe you get to the Knicks and you feel like they want to take a swing on somebody. They have 2 picks in this range. Do you think the Knicks is maybe where his range starts?
I mean, I think his range may start like as early as like Indiana at 13.
Okay.
Like there's a world where I think you can make it. Like it's all about trying to find like a world where you can make a case for these things, right?
Yeah.
Like whenever we're talking range, at least, right?
Yeah.
In the case of Indiana, like they could use a creative guard like this. Like
yeah, that's true.
Their guards are good. Like they have Karis LeVert coming back, full time next year as well, who is this kind of creative mindset, but he's not really a passer necessarily either. He's more creating for himself. They could use another guy that is this unselfish and that like can make plays like this. So I think that's almost the start. I mean, look, like Washington is going to lose Howell Neto in all likelihood, you would think, this summer, just because they're probably not going to be able to pay him unless they like decide to use some of their mid-level to keep him. Memphis, you can like not really make a case for because they already have Tyus Jones as a backup behind John Morant.
Right.
Oklahoma City, I think you just have to like, if they like Sharife Cooper, I think they will take him.
Then they
right?
Would, yeah.
Like at the end of the day, like that's a real potential outcome. I think New York is the realistic spot that makes a lot of sense. They need a point guard pretty badly. They need another creative mindset. I don't love the way that he would fit necessarily on the court with Emmanuel Quickley because they're both a little bit smaller. But Quickley can guard up the lineup a little bit, and RJ Barrett can certainly guard up to 3s and 4s a little bit. So I think there's a world where Sharife Cooper makes real sense for them, and I do quite actually like. I mean, the fit there. Like if we're just saying, hey, let's go out and get a creative guard. If we're the Knicks, let's go for it, right? Atlanta, I think, could also make some sense if they're looking for a like-for-like sub with Trae Young whenever Trae's off the court, because this year it got a little bit better with Bogdan Bogdanovic and Kevin Huerter being able to take over a little bit more of the offense. And obviously late in the year they had Lou Williams, but Lou Williams is a free agent, and they still have a need at that backup guard spot behind Trae Young. And at number 20, I think it's a little bit easier to take a backup, especially whenever you're Atlanta and you have I mean, they don't need bigs. They certainly don't need wings. They have creative guards in Herter and Bogdanovich. I think that you can make a case that shoring up that backup point guard spot makes sense.